If you want to support this channel, it's simple. Whenever you need to make a purchase, access our affiliate links in the description from the affiliated stores. This simple gesture will help us a lot.
Jananam sukadham maranam karunam milanam maduram smaranam karunam kalavashadiha sakalam karunam samayadipate akilam karunam. Good afternoon, everybody, Excellencies and ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here.
Good afternoon, Sadhguru, and good afternoon to Your Excellencies and distinguished guests, and to all the meditators who are watching on the internet right now. I'm so grateful to be here, and it's such a privilege, really, to be here. My name is Maxwell Kennedy, and I learned how to meditate from Sadhguru a few years ago. So we're here at the United Nations, and there are maybe 40 or 60 ambassadors here in 70 different countries and 7,000 people, and we're here to talk about sustainable development. So why did you start with a chant?
The chant is an invocation. An invocation means to perform different types of activities. We need to have our energies in different ways. Otherwise, most people have become competent in one way or the other, but if you ask them to do something totally different, they will find themselves totally at loss. This is simply because their energies get directed in one way only. An invocation means you kind of make yourself malleable in such a way that for every different type of action, you need your energies in different parts of your system, and you are able to graduate that, calibrate that in such a way to perform that specific activity. So when I sit here, what we need to do is different from what I was doing when I was walking down here. So this is just calibration using sounds. If we have to know the meaning, it's talking about how birth is sweetness, but death is compassion. It's a relief. We may think death is a terrible thing, but aren't we glad that someday we will die? Suppose we could not die, that would be terrible, isn't it? Suppose we can't die at all. And above all, it is talking about yoga in the sense, the chant is describing yoga as a way of transcending time. When we say transcending time, right now we have a sense of time only because we are so identified with our physical nature. Suppose we did not have a body, we would not have any sense of time. Our body is keeping time. Everything that is time is cyclical, but yoga is a dimension which wants to transcend, which helps you to transcend these cycles and make a journey beyond cyclical nature of life, which is the nature of physical existence.
Thank you. I had a teacher at Harvard who was a medical doctor, and he told me a story that when he was a young doctor, he went down to Mississippi and he saw children there in the United States, this is in the mid-1960s, who were starving. And after that trip, he went to Washington, D.C., and he tried to meet a group of senators, and he went to one after the other, and none of them would talk to him. And on Sunday afternoon, he got my father's phone number at home. My father is Senator Robert F. Kennedy. And my sister Carrie, who runs the Robert F. Kennedy Memorial, is here right now, and my wife Vicki. But he got my dad's number, and he called, and it was Sunday. My dad's with the children, and he said to him, well, all right, why don't you come over and we'll talk. And after they spoke, my dad went to Mississippi, to where this doctor had gone, and when he came back, he wrote this, he said these words, and there are others. On the back roads of Mississippi, where thousands of children slowly starve their lives away, their minds damaged beyond repair by the age of 4 or 5. In the camps of the migrant workers, 500,000 nomads, virtually unprotected by collective bargaining or social security, minimum wage, or workman's compensation, exposed to the caprice of fate and the cruelty of their fellow man alike. And on Indian reservations where the unemployment rate is 80%, and where suicide is not a philosopher's question, but the leading cause of death among young people. So after that trip, my father went back to the Senate, and he worked with a group of others, and they created the first food stamps program in the United States. And that is kind of the development model that I'm used to. So when I look at the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, my immediate reaction is to think, are the Addis Ababa Accords going to fund this or not? But you have a different approach. Can you talk about yoga in that context?
So when we say sustainable development goals, we are talking about human well-being, addressing human well-being as 17 different issues which concerns poverty, nourishment, health, women's issues, environment, this kind of thing. Essentially, we're talking about human well-being. How can you transform the world without transforming individual human beings? This is the effort that's going on in the world for a long time. We want to transform the world, but we are not aiming at individual human beings. The world is just a word. It is just you and me. If there is no transformation in you and me, if there is no change in the way we perceive, experience and think, feel and act in this world, how can you change the world? So we can pump in money, we can have projects, they will all go up and go down. But only if we transform individual human beings on a large scale, only then there will be true transformation. This is why yoga becomes a significant thing. Today, the United Nations taking up this International Yoga Day is a very important step. I would say it's a revolutionary approach, because without transforming individual human beings, you cannot really transform the world, because there is no such thing as in reality. In reality, there's just you, me and someone else. If all of us change, the world has changed. If we refuse to change, we will be only talking about it. I've been to any number of international peace conferences, and everybody's talking about world peace. In one of these conferences, where there were 17 Nobel laureates, I asked them a simple question, is it true that all of you are truly peaceful human beings? Can you put your hand on your heart and say, I am peaceful? They admitted, no, Sadhguru, we don't know how to be peaceful, but we want the world peaceful. How is that possible? What you see as the world is just a larger manifestation of who we are.
Sadhguru, you can see all around the world, in Brazil, in the United States, in LA where I live, people are doing yoga. And when we're doing it, I'm stretching out my body and trying to control my breathing. Can you explain what yoga really is and how that can help attain the SDGs?
So this fundamental human longing for health, for well-being, for fulfillment of life, when you find a logically correct and scientifically ascertainable way, then we say this is yoga. Yoga means in pursuit of human well-being, we've been doing all kinds of things. We've been looking up for a long time, which has led to humanity being divided in the name of religions, castes, creeds, in so many different ways. Now in the last 50 years, I would say we are looking out seriously and we are ripping the planet apart. All the environmental degradation that we are talking about is just in pursuit of human well-being. In the last 100 years, definitely, we are the most comfortable generation ever. But we cannot say we are well because we are not really well. People are not happy, people are not peaceful. That is not happening because we have not addressed the inner nature. So when you address it in a scientific manner, rather than by belief, by philosophy, by ideologies, you address human well-being in a scientific way, this is yoga. The word yoga literally means union. When we say union, what we're talking about is, we're talking about a scientific way of obliterating the boundaries of your individuality. When I say a scientific way of obliterating the boundaries of your individual nature, what this means is, right now as we sit here, this is me, that is you, distinctly clear. But we are breathing the same air, we are a product of the same earth. What you call as myself is just a pop-up on this planet and it'll pop out. But in this little bit of time, we have divided this in such a way that we can't meet. Yoga means you obliterate these individual boundaries, not intellectually, not by belief, not by ideology, but as a living experience. We launched I mean this was there on the video, we launched a very large-scale environmental project in southern India. The fundamental for this came from this. This happened to me when I was in the university, and recently about 8 years ago, when I happened to be in my hometown, and after a very long time, one of my English teachers came up to me and said, "Now I understand why you would not let me teach Robert Frost." I said, "Ma'am, why would I not let you teach Robert Frost? I like Robert Frost." She said, "Don't you remember you didn't let me teach Frost?" Then I remembered. She came one day, till then we were reading only English poets. She came and introduced the American poet and she said, "Robert Frost, such a great man," and then she started off, "Woods are lovely, dark and deep." I said, "Stop." I said, "A man who calls a tree a wood, I don't want to listen to this guy." She said, "No, this is a very great poet." I said, "I don't care how great he is, he calls tree a wood. I don't want to listen to him." Then when we wanted to start this process in southern India, when we found that rivers were going dry and the groundwater was sinking very rapidly, when I decided we will plant 114 million trees in Tamil Nadu, the simple thing that we did was, I took thousands of people, made them sit in the trees, and we set up a yogic process with which they experienced that what they're breathing out, the trees are inhaling. What the trees are exhaling, they are inhaling. And they realized one half of their lungs is hanging out there. Once they realized this, there is no stopping. Even today, millions of trees are being planted on a yearly basis, all done by common people, simply because we brought this yogic experience to them, that they truly realized that one half of their breathing apparatus is actually out there, not here. So, bringing this experience into people, that what you think as myself is not within the boundaries of your physical nature, it goes well beyond that. If this becomes a living reality, then fulfilling these goals that United Nations has for the world becomes much more possible than the way it is right now, where we are trying to push in one way, but a whole lot of people are pushing in the opposite direction, because they don't even see it as theirs.
Thank you, Sadhguru. I wanted to point out this incredible thing about the tree planting project is that Sadhguru insisted that the trees be planted on small plots of land, less than half an acre, and half of the trees are fruit trees, and then half of them can be used for firewood, so that the people who live on these lands are benefited from them, they take care of the trees, and those trees actually really grow. And one of the things that's really working on is poverty. And when I look at the world today, and I see, especially in the United States, this incredible gap between people who have capital and people who don't. And it's a very disturbing sign to me, the gap between rich and poor. Can you talk a little bit about how yoga would address that in terms of sustainable development?
So we must understand this, that we have chosen an economic model which is all about everybody for himself or herself. There is no larger commitment to humanity as such, because that is market economy. Everybody does according to their own capabilities and skills and grab what they can grab. It's literally shoot and scoot economy. But we have gone for this simply because the socialistic, communistic ideas have unfortunately failed, not necessarily because they're bad, because human beings are not ready for it yet. That is, poor people who had nothing wanted to share, the rich never wanted to share, so it became a joke in the world. If rich had the consciousness to share, communism would have been a great idea, but the poor want to share, rich don't want to share. So that is the same situation here, and this is the same situation building up everywhere else in the world. Is this the best way to run the world? No. But do we have a better idea? No. So, because right now we are in that place. So the only thing that we can truly do is that we bring what we are referring to as yoga, as a living experience. Yoga does not mean twisting your body, yoga does not mean standing on your head, yoga does not mean holding your breath. Yoga means in some way you have transcended the limitations of your physical nature. You are beginning to experience life as a larger possibility, not just this physical form that you are. Once this becomes a living experience, sharing and living together will become a common experience everywhere. Does it mean we are going to start communes and everybody will live together? No, we can run businesses in a more inclusive way. We can create a more inclusive economic model, and this need not be done by government policy. This can be done by private individuals, because there are companies which are almost as large as nations today. There are companies which are bigger than nations. So it is very much possible that business can be run in a more inclusive way. Right now we are thinking only of profit. Our idea of profit is very short-term kind of idea. If you really want to run your company, if you are thinking in terms of your company prospering in the next 100, 200, 500 years continuously, then it's very important that you make your customer your partner, that you make everybody else in the society your partner. Whatever you're manufacturing or whatever you're selling or whatever the business sees, whether you're selling a safety pin or a computer or a spacecraft, essentially the business is about human well-being. If this comes into the consciousness of every business person, if this comes into the consciousness of building every business, that essentially this is about human well-being. We do it in so many ways, but fundamentally it's about that. If this awareness and consciousness is instilled in the businesses on the planet, then you can find the capitalistic way of living need not mean disparity, can mean well-being to everybody.
Sadhguru, I read the other day that for every dollar in government investment in developing countries, that there's $7 now in private investment. So how do we use yoga to yoke in the private corporations that are looking just at their bottom line to end up really having development that's fair and just?
In the last 20 years, I have largely focused on the business leaders, because there was a time a few hundred years ago where the most influential leadership on the planet was religious leadership. Later on, when the military machines built up in a big way, the military leaders dominated the world. In the last 100 years, democratically elected leaders have become the most dominant force. In the next 15 to 25 years, you will see the business leaders will be the most important or influential leadership on the planet. The good thing about business is that a businessman is willing to make a deal if the deal is good, no matter who you are. I'm saying the old prejudice of I cannot make a deal with somebody is going away and they're willing to make a deal. Now, anything is sustainable only if it is beneficial to both the parties. Nothing can be sustained either in the marketplace or in marriage unless it's beneficial to both the parties. Only when it's truly beneficial to both the parties, this can be sustained. This is slowly sinking into the business leadership. I have seen in the last 20 years, prominent business leaders, their way of thinking is very, very different than what it was. My essential work has been to move individual leaders from their personal ambitions to a larger vision, because a larger vision means then the business is sustainable for a long period of time. If it's just your personal ambition, the world will work against you. If you have a larger vision, the world will work with you. This is the big difference. So this is something that is slowly sinking in. You will see, if you see annual meetings of major businesses, what they're talking, if you look at the economic forum, if you look at various economic assemblies on the planet, you will see they're all beginning to talk about a larger vision, how to make a difference rather than how to make a profit. This has become the language of the business these days. It still has to manifest in a big way, but at least the language has changed from profit to making a difference.
Thank you. Sadhguru, when you look at societies all across the world, there's a huge gap between what's available to women and what's available to men. The Sustainable Development Goals address this. What's the role of gender equality in yoga?
See, yoga means transcending your physical nature on one level. If you transcend your physical nature, where is the question of being a male or a female? You being a male or a female is relevant only in a few spaces in your life, in bathrooms and bedrooms. Rest of the places, I don't see why you should recognize somebody as a man or a woman. Why are we identifying people with reproductory organs? If you must use a body part, at least use the brain. I think a small gender difference that is there between us to fulfill a certain aspect of our life is being stretched too far. I think this is from another period where it was not possible for a woman to participate because of variety of physical situations in the world. And that is largely leveled today in most parts of the world, and it's rapidly changing everywhere, I would say. I think a more active effort is needed, at least by law in most nations it is 100% equal. By practice, there is still discrepancies which has to be worked at. I feel it's a generational thing. Once the older generation moves out, the younger generation is not looking at it that way anymore. At least I see that in all the Asian countries. It is only people beyond 60 years of age who think in this mode. The younger people are not thinking that way anymore.
So, Guru, I'm just going to ask you one more question because I want to save time for the audience who've been waiting to talk to you. And can you tell about how you conceive the world in 30 years?
What I see is, for the very first time in the history of humanity, human intellect is sparking like never before. More people on the planet today can think for themselves than ever before in the history of this human existence. So once human intellect begins to spark like this, unless something is logically correct and scientifically verifiable, it will fail in future. You may be willing to listen to a few things, but your children are not going to listen to anything that does not make sense to them. It does not matter from what authority it comes from. Or in other words, we are moving into an era where authority cannot be the truth. Truth will be the only authority in future. We are getting there because everybody is beginning to ask questions, and people are not afraid to ask questions anymore, so this is bound to happen. Once this happens, human aspiration for well-being has to have a logically correct and scientifically ascertainable methodology, and it's of tremendous importance that today the International Yoga Day has been declared in the last 1 year. It was mooted by the Prime Minister, but it was almost like the world was waiting for it. As they mentioned, 177 countries, never before in the history of United Nations, all of them agreed upon one thing as they agreed upon yoga. It looked like they were waiting for it. Yes, the world has been waiting for a scientific and a logically correct solution for human well-being. The aspiration for human well-being will not stop. Unless we provide a proper scientifically structured methodology, then people in terms of well-being will move towards chemicals. This is a grave concern in the world. The number of people moving towards alcohol and drugs in the last 25 years must be maybe 500 to 1000% more than what it was 25 years ago. This is mainly because in pursuit of human well-being, there are no logically correct answers to their questions. That is the reason why human beings are seeking these kind of solutions. Unless we provide this is a natural progression. I see in the next 30 years to 50 years, there will be a big movement towards a scientific process for inner well-being. And this is the right time to be here at this forum and this yoga becoming a worldwide thing. We must understand yoga is not an Indian thing. If you want to call yoga Indian, then you must call gravity European, okay? Because yes, it originated from that place, because India is one place where for a few millennia we had uninterrupted time to look deep inwards and to look at the human mechanism in utmost profoundness as to how this functions, what is the ultimate possibility within this human mechanism. This has taken a few millennia to understand and arrive at this possibility. And yoga, I want this message to go, the science of yoga is not just about health, it's not just about fitness, it is an ultimate solution for every aspect of human existence. There is different types of yogas, yoga can be taught in different dimensions. The ultimate possibility of raising beyond our physical nature, the ultimate possibility of knowing life in its fullest way. The word yoga means union. The word yogi means one who has experienced this union. We need not 1, 2, 5 yogis, we need millions of them who have a sense of union with the rest of the universe, particularly those who hold responsible positions in the world. They must come to this experience because leadership essentially means you have the privilege of touching other people's lives. What you think, what you feel and what you do, every single thought, emotion and action either makes or breaks people's lives. That's what leadership means. When you are given such a privilege, it's very, very important that you are in a state of yoga, that you experience life around you as yourself. If any of us feel the work that we are doing is important, the first and foremost thing is we must work upon ourselves.
It gives me deep honor and pleasure to first give the floor to Under-Secretary General, Ambassador Vijay Nambiar, who will also be delivering a message on behalf of the Secretary General, Mr. Ban Ki-moon.
I shall just be delivering the message of the Secretary General on tomorrow's International Day of Yoga. Yoga is an ancient physical, mental and spiritual practice that originated in India and is now practiced in various forms around the world. The word yoga derives from Sanskrit and means to join or to unite, symbolizing the union of body and consciousness. Yoga balances body and soul, physical health and mental well-being. It promotes harmony among people and between ourselves and the natural world. Recognizing its universal appeal, the United Nations General Assembly proclaimed 21st June as the International Day of Yoga. This year's observance of the International Day of Yoga highlights the important role healthy living plays in the realization of the Sustainable Development Goals adopted last year by all 193 United Nations member states. As exercise, yoga has multiple benefits. Physical inactivity is linked with a number of non-communicable diseases such as cancer, diabetes, and cardiovascular diseases, which are among the leading causes of illness and death worldwide. By improving fitness, teaching us how to breathe correctly, and working to diminish stress, yoga can help to cultivate healthier lifestyles. Practicing yoga can also help raise awareness of our role as consumers of the planet's resources and as individuals with a duty to respect and live in peace with our neighbors. All these elements are essential to building a sustainable future of dignity and opportunity for all. On the International Day of Yoga tomorrow, I urge everyone to embrace healthier choices and lifestyles and to commit to unity with our fellow human beings, regardless of ethnicity, faith, age, gender identity, or sexual orientation. Let us celebrate this day and every day as members of one human family, sharing one common, precious home. Thank you.
May I now give the floor to the permanent representative of Bangladesh. Sir.
We deeply appreciate the Indian government's initiative to have the International Day of Yoga. We have learnt a lot from the yoga masters, especially the perspective as to how yoga can contribute in the attainment of global peace, sustainable future, and in turn the realization of the SDGs. What I understand, without peace of mind and harmony in the body, how can we think we can change the world? First, we have to change our own world, by which what I mean is how we live, breathe, eat, think, and aspire. If we are not fit for the purpose of contributing to sustainable peace in the world, we will remain as bystanders and not as active agents of change. I can share my own personal story with my colleagues and others present here. I had been suffering from a very bad bout of sciatica problem for the last 2 months. At times the pain was debilitating. I have gone through serious pain medication followed by physical therapy and acupuncture. In fact, I am just coming here from my 6th session of acupuncture treatment. I realized that I suffered this problem because of accumulated lifestyle-related problems, which included long hours of sitting, standing, stress from the work, and also from the family for the constant change of places of postings, etc. During the last 8 weeks of my ordeal, I reflected on my life and future course of action. I read a lot and searched the internet for answers, and I finally came to the conclusion that yoga is the answer to my situation. Although I did some yoga in my college days, my biggest mistake was that I discontinued that. Perhaps if I…
The morning is cool, but it's going to be a hot day. Just like life. You don't go by what's there now. What's there now is all important in terms of experience. But what's there now is not an indication of what's going to be. Definitely not. The process of what we call as life, most of the time, except a few nasty mornings, most of the time it starts off well. At least for you, not for your mother. At least for you. Not that everybody's life something wrong has to happen. Some people have a good deal, some people have a bad deal. With the family, money, careers, business, partners that you choose, children that you bear, and various other social, financial, emotional situations. Some people have a good deal, some people have a bad deal. Good deal or bad deal is not the point. The point is this life serving the purpose of you moving on? Because no matter how much you try to settle yourself into the comfort of what is there right now, there is something within you longing to be something more. No matter how much you think you've given up everything, you renounced, or you become lethargic enough to live in a limbo, something within you wants to be a little more, and some plain, whatever you know best. Either you can keep this longing, just coming to terms with it. This is how life is. Some fulfillment, some frustration, some gain, some pain. These are all the philosophies people propound to solace themselves, to tranquilize themselves, to stay half asleep. You are right now? They pulled you out of the bed and brought you? Even if they're beating the drum, are you fully alive? I want to hear some lively sound. So whenever I ask you, are you on? You say, That's better. So, bad deals can happen, not necessarily because you're stupid, not necessarily because you do something wrong. Bad deals can just happen. It can just happen, you know. A leg can break, a tooth can fall off, head can crack. Somebody dear to you may fall dead tomorrow morning. Bad deals can happen just like that, not because of a mistake, not because of something. It can just happen. It's happening to somebody every day. Every day, somebody's having a bad deal, isn't it so? Even if you try to do something very good, even then bad deals can happen. Many people around you claim they know how it will come. They wrote it on a paper, they gave you that horoscope. That horoscope which told you that this was the right man to marry. And in how many ways you discovered? How many ways? Lord lots of claims about life, but still, what's going to be a good deal? What's going to be a bad deal? In the world outside, you do not know. Isn't it so? You know for sure? So, if you have substantial experience of life, when I say substantial, for most of us one is not enough. When we're reminded that there has been a substantial experience of life, going through the same game over and over and over again, then you will not long for immortality. You will want to see what's beyond life. Oh, is this because there's something wrong with life? No, nothing wrong with it. It's just that it's limited. But there is something here which does not like the limited. There is something here which does not like boundaries. There is something here which will not settle for anything less than the boundless. In the evolutionary process, you can see from a single-celled animal to all that has happened now, from that single-celled animal to who you are right now. All that's been happening is to somehow bring a larger slice of life into your experience. That's all that's happened. Became little more capable to experience life, not necessarily to do. An elephant can do much more than you. When it comes to physical activity, but that's not the point. Little more capable to experience life. Because what is there now is somehow not enough. Pacifist philosophies have been taught to us to make you sleep where you are, be content with what you have. But it's not worked. See? Early morning bad deal. Somebody's having a bad deal. See? Somebody's sure having a bad deal. Lost your child, lost your mommy. It's not a small bad deal, it's a big bad deal. But how we experience the process of life is now, for the first time as a human being, it's in our hands. Never before it was in our hands. In the process of evolution, all these millions of life forms that this might have gone through, in none of those forms we had the freedom to choose our experience. Even now, we don't have absolute choice to choose our situations. But we have been given the freedom to choose our experience. Whatever kind of deal, the inner deal, we can strike a good deal, a fabulous deal, whatever may be the outside deal. This one huge step of consciousness sets a human being apart. No other animal is able to determine the nature of his experience. The outside situations are good, they're fine. If they're not good, they're gone. But this one is capable of having an inner situation the way he wants it, no matter what may be happening around him. This ability, once this ability has come, if you exercise the choice of being conscious, it's a benediction. If you do not, it is magnified misery compared to any other creature on the planet. No other creature on this planet suffers the way a human being suffers, isn't it? No other creature on this planet can suffer the way a human being suffers. It's deep. They do, it's not that they don't, but not this deep. Human suffering is deep. This suffering is as deep as it is. Not because life is suffering. A lot of people have come to this. So if life becomes very sweet and beautiful within you, the experience of life, the more blissful it becomes, more the longing for transcendence. People are always thinking, the suffering will seek. No. Those who are suffering, if you dangle a little bit of pleasure here, they will run after that. It's only one who is absolutely blissful, who will go straight in the path because nothing bothers him, nothing interests him. He's already in the most pleasant way a human being can be. Now he wants to go beyond, nothing else. Somebody who is suffering today, they say today, Sadhguru, I want mukti. Their idea of mukti is freedom from suffering? No. Mukti is not freedom from suffering. You cannot even seek liberation. If you are in some state of suffering, if you are suffering, all you will see, all you will seek is the sweetness of pleasure and happiness, nothing more. Because people went on talking about or lived their life and made their lives an absolute suffering, that is why this whole idea of heaven is a bloody perverted place. For sure, isn't it? No? You heard some stories about heaven, how it is? You have or no? It's a bloody perverted place, there's no question about it. No sensible human being would ever want to go there. But the whole world, at least a large part of the world, is aspiring to go there. That's their idea of ultimate, unfortunately. Exaggerated quantities of pleasure. You should try it here, you'll get sick of it in no time. Because always it's been rationed. Pleasure has always been rationed to people. They think larger quantities is going to be better. Have a large quantity of pleasure and see, you will get sick of it. Because pleasure is just a poor substitute for joy and blissfulness. And This whole game of good deal, bad deal goes beyond life. Hell and heaven is just good deal and bad deal. Even when the deal is good, you can still suffer, isn't it so? Are you not capable? Even when the deal is great, are you still not capable of suffering? So if I export you to heaven, who told you this is not? Who told you this is not heaven? How do you know? Is there any guarantee for you that planet Earth is not heaven? Do you know? Maybe you went through all that hard, bloody world somewhere and now you're in heaven. See, even the women are beautiful. It could be heaven. No? So if you land up in another place, it's not going to be any better. This silly idea they have sold for a few thousand years. It beats me. The power of marketing. Just impossible, you know, the power of marketing. Even a school-going child knows your physical body seeks oxygen, not carbon dioxide. Even a school-going child knows this. But see, they can pump carbon dioxide into a bottle and make you believe that's the best thing to drink on the planet. Power of marketing. Real thing. It is only the Indian farmers who found out the real purpose of these drinks, because they started using it on the plants. Plants like carbon dioxide. It's only the Indian farmers, the Andhra Pradesh farmers, who did the right thing with the real thing. They sprayed it on the plants and they found it works. So, what can be sold to you if the marketing machinery is strong enough? Just anything can be sold to you. And too much junk has been sold to you, all kinds of junk. All kinds of junk. The general description of the heaven is such that I wouldn't want to go there. You want to? Even if it's real, still it's not an attractive place to go. Many of you married 12 wives, you want? Not my idea of heaven. So, definitely, this was concocted in a truly perverted man's mind. There's no question. Somebody who is deprived, suppressed and perverted in his head, only such a man could devise heaven. And Unfortunately, uniformly across the world, the general description of the heaven just about amounts to the same things. The numbers vary, of course, depending upon the female population who make it to heaven. But about the same things. So the most perverted in any population, they are the people who thought this up. And because the perversion, when you're perverted, it gives you a tremendous sense of energy, always. See, if the policeman had as much energy as the criminal, there would be no crime. Policeman wants to go home and sleep, but the criminal is wide awake. Any kind of deviation from normal course of life process gives you an exaggerated sense of energy always. You become fanatical about something. You will see, you will have an exaggerated sense of energy. If you become very loving, blissful, you'll have a great sense of energy, but it will not expend itself the way a perverted mind will do. And these people with great energy, and they went about selling it. You sell the same product to the whole population, you never deliver it. This is great. This is like, once in a way, I think it's making everywhere. In Tamil Nadu, this is making rounds. Somebody comes up with $1 million currency note. You heard of these things in Chennai? Chennai people have a fascination for this. Somebody says, there is actually $1 million note with this man. It is certified by the United States government and he is willing to give it for a discount. Because he's going to give away $1 million for just 50,000 rupees. Because he loves you. And above all, he doesn't care for money. He just needs only 50,000. He does not need $1 million. Plus he's in a hurry. His wife died yesterday. Today he has to cremate. Some fabulous story. And if you pant $1 million, nothing, no great loss will happen, you'll just lose 50,000, that's all. After all, you must take that much risk in life, isn't it? So this goes on and on and on. The same product, sold again and again and again. Just marketing by the power of this. Not delivering anything. So you know all the… the Madoff job. You don't know the Madoff job? No? Oh. I won't go into the financial con jobs of recent times. A simple thing, keep a cycle going. As long as the cycle is going on, great businesses can be run without doing anything as such. Collect money from 100 people, Only 10 people are due to be paid today. Pay these 10 people, what's the problem? The cycle gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Collect money from 1,000 people and pay these 100 people, what is the problem? You don't have to do any business. You can just keep it going like this. One day you'll have a can in your hand. That day is not very far away for you. When death confronts you, you will see your can is empty. Nothing. Empty stories, all will evaporate. All stories, all gossip, all rumors that you heard about hell and heaven and God sitting there and welcoming you, all the damn stories will evaporate if death confronts you. You will be freaky shit scared. No? Because this is just a convenience. It's just a convenience. To believe that, this is a very beautiful thing. All the Hindus go straight to heaven. If anybody dies, we never say he died, we say he reached heaven. Yes? This is because everybody makes it to heaven because that's just another place like this. So, here we never considered going to heaven as a big thing. We said if you become free from the process of heaven and hell, only then it's a big thing. Going to heaven is not a big thing. If you're born in India, you go straight to heaven. Because probably after living in India, wherever you go, it feels like heaven. A lot of people are living in such conditions that wherever you send them, they'll think it's heaven. You're in the right place. If you want mukti, you may have to strive. But if you want to go to heaven, no problem. You're born in the right place. Anyway, you'll go to heaven. When you die, they'll print a card and say, he's reached heaven. It's printed. Have faith in the printed word. I'm not just ridiculing, this has happened across the world, isn't it so? The damn printed word is negating everything that's life. If you look around and let life speak, you will see the damn printed word is negating everything that life speaks. But still, it's printed. This is not printed, you have to be conscious to listen. That's printed. Any idiot who is literate can read it. Literacy doesn't take intelligence, isn't it? Does it? Does it? They're saying, Literacy doesn't take intelligence. If you're born in a certain society, you become literate, isn't it? Every idiot becomes literate if you're born in a certain society where there is certain apparatus of education. And every fool can read this stuff, the printed word, which somebody says is sacred. It goes against life, it doesn't matter. It makes people fearful, guilty and confused, it doesn't matter. Only because it's so great, it can confuse a great mind like you. isn't it? No. Causing confusion is very easy. Bringing clarity is another world. Bringing clarity into people is another thing. Causing confusion is very, very easy. It can be done. You just go up to somebody, say, "Do you see the tree, how blue it is?" Say, "What? What, don't you see? It's blue and don't you see the pink fruits?" It's very easy to do this. They've been doing it for thousands of years. See, if somebody said, "This is a place of God," they should have demanded, "Put your life down here." They're asking only for 2 rupees. In ancient India, people themselves lived in huts, small shacks, without any amenities, but they went about building grand temples. Grand. Superhuman effort. Looks like something of the divine should have touched them, because their own lives did not matter. How they lived, they did not care. These people at least are real believers, at least they believe. This is just a trick. All you're looking for is a pet, but a heavenly pet. It is not that there is no meaning to this, it is not that there is no basis to this. It is just that the way it is done. If these devices are just ways of bringing about a constant sense of devotion, if these devices are only a means to make a human being sensible, I can understand. 1,000 years ago or 10,000 years ago, maybe this was the only means they had. That's okay. But it's being sold as real, not being presented as a device, then that becomes a problem. So what is this whole search? Sadhguru, I'm not feeling any great search within me. All I feel like right now is breakfast. Yes. But you know, you're not yet in heaven. This is Isha Yoga Center. People don't eat breakfast here. Why can't we just enjoy the mundane? In every little thing, why can't we find pleasure and joy and just do it? You must do that. If you cannot even do that, you're no good. You're no good for anything. If you cannot enjoy the sunrise, if you cannot enjoy the breakfast that you eat, if you cannot enjoy the air that you breathe, if you cannot enjoy the earth that you walk upon, you're simply no good for anything. Because even Birds and animals are doing it. Yes? So, if you are not even able to do that, this is sub-animal state. I believe that many of you managed to do that. So we are saying what is the next possibility. Because there is something within you which longs. Either you put the longing to a little bit of sleep with too much breakfast, or you've confused the longing by creating false longings. See, whatever a human being is seeking, whether you're seeking money or you're seeking pleasure, you're seeking food, starting from the fundamental of food, because food is the first thing that you cried for when you were born, isn't it? See that child you heard some time ago, he's been brainwashed, conditioned. Now he cries, "Mummy." Now, first when he cried, first when you cried, food. Isn't it so? Even now, it's food that you're crying for, but it comes through mummy. So starting from this fundamental longing for food, what is the longing for food? One thing is the physical hunger, nourishment, but beyond hunger also you're eating, isn't it? I can see. Food ingestion, digestion, assimilation is a way of taking something which is not a part of you and making it a part of you. If it happens on the lowest level, we call it food. If it happens on the highest level, we call it yoga. Yoga means union. In between, there are many ways. Sexuality, ambition, this one, that one, a million other ways. But the longing is for unity. Somewhere, there is a longing to include something and become little larger than who you are right now. Starts with that fundamental cry of a child just born, which is just basic about food, then various types of cries will happen along the way. All these cries are confusing the fundamental longing to include. The essential longing… Hello? The essential longing is to include. By eating, by possessing, by conquering. These are all the crude ways of doing it. But the same longing, singular longing, right through your life. Please see, from the moment you were born, you're still crying for the same thing. You want to include something more as a part of yourself. All I'm telling you is, don't go by installments. Nobody ever does it that way. You cannot count. I think we can do it. We have 2 full days. All of you can start counting right now. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sure by Sunday evening, We would have reached infinite if we do it incessantly. No? 2 days, non-stop counting, 48 hours. I think we can make it. Oh, you are a problem. 2 days of counting will get you to infinite? You do 1,000,000 years of counting, you will not get there. You're longing, whatever the longing for, whether it's for food, it's the pang of hunger, or lust, or ambition, conquest, it is the same longing. If you bring little more consciousness to this longing, you will see this is not what you're longing for. What you're longing for is inclusiveness. So you can confuse the fundamental longing with variety of things, running after this for 5 years, running after that for 10 years, running after another thing for 25 years. Then, when you're still wanting to run, it's gone. A 94-year-old man in Kentucky. You know what's Kentucky? These are people who breed horses. A 94-year-old man who lived on a horse ranch all his life, whose whole life and work is with studs. At 94, he married his 6th wife, was only 18 years of age. You know, there's a large ranch. So, he met his wife on the first day, and then he asked her, "See, do you know what we are supposed to do?" Just like Adam. "Did you talk to your mother? Did she tell you some facts about life?" She said, "No, I did not speak to my mother. I do not know any facts about life." Then he said, "I think I know, but I've forgotten. I've been out of the active involvement with the ranch for the last 10 years and I've forgotten." You've forgotten, but still the pattern has not stopped. Many things are just like this with life. You have forgotten that the only longing is for inclusiveness. Here and there, whatever comes your way, you want to grab and include, little by little, piece by piece. You will not get the cosmic. You will not get the existence that way, piece by piece. It's too many pieces. Nobody can put it together piece by piece. Either you swallow it whole or you don't. That's how it is. As I told you yesterday, you must… every step you take, every breath you take, I want you to see that whatever you're in touch with now, this planet, the air that you breathe, the sky, the mountain, everything, if you're willing to look at it in a certain way, is overwhelming. if you're willing to see that you as a person, though you can walk, talk, do this, that, you're still not grasped any one of them. You don't know. The blades of grass here may be laughing at your ignorance. They are actually. Do you hear? I want you to hear. Because that's how it is. Everything here knows life except the human being. Because he was given the power to transcend life, he has chosen to go under. He was given the freedom not just to be life, he could go above life, but most of them chose to go below. They're not even enjoying life as a tree is enjoying life. It only suffers if it has a bad deal. You're capable of suffering a good deal. No breakfast is a bad deal, but there's lunch coming at 9:30, that's a good deal.
We appreciate your presence and active participation. Let's continue this journey together, exploring new horizons and sharing our light with the world.